Hello. I wanted to take a quick moment to walk all of the parents, no students, just parents, on how to tune a violin or any string instrument, but I'm going to be using a violin for this video. So the first thing we need to do is you need to be able to hear the right pitch of each string. So on a violin, we have from highest to lowest, the thinnest all the way on this side here, that's the E string, which is the pitch of an E. Next is A, pitch of an A. Next is D, pitch of D. Next is G, pitch of G. On violas, it goes A, D, G, C. Cello is the same, A, D, G, C, just an octave lower than viola. And then the bass is opposite. It's G, D, A, and E being the lowest string. So first thing I'm going to do is orchestra is always tuned to A. So the A string, which is the second string right here, you can see it. That's the first string I typically tune on an instrument. As you can hear, this violin is horrendously out of tune. I just changed the strings, so it's going to take me a little bit to get in tune. The first thing I do is I play the pitch of an A. I make that louder so you guys can hear it. And I internalize that pitch. I sing it. Da. Okay, so I hear that it's quite flat, which means that it's lower than the pitch that I'm singing. Da. Okay, so I'm approximately in the right area. And sometimes when violins are restrung or they're really out of tune, it takes more than one pass through each string to get them in tune. The way the pegs work, as you just saw me, that's for big tuning adjustments. And if you tighten the peg this way, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, that'll tighten the string, which will make the string sharper or higher in pitch. If you loosen, lefty-loosey, that is going to flatten the string, making it lower in pitch, and it's also going to release some of the tension on the string. So the next thing I do is I play an E, and I usually listen for that interval. So, da, da. A little too high. So sometimes when I overshoot, I just loosen the fine tuner a little bit. This one I need to do this with, and then tighten the fine tuner. The fine tuner are the pegs right here on the bottom. They're not really pegs. You can screw them or unscrew them. For your tuning purposes, you'll probably use these most often, unless the instrument is extremely out of tune, then you'll probably need to use the pegs. Sometimes some of the school instruments or some of the less well-kept violins will have the fine tuners hard to screw in and out, and if that happens, then you're more or less just stuck turning the pegs. Okay, so it's starting to sound relatively in tune for those two strings with itself. However, when I go back through the second pass, you'll probably hear that it's going to be a little bit flatter than the pitches I'm intending. So there's a difference between the violin being in tune with itself and the violin being in tune in general. So a violin being in tune with itself might sound fine if you're just playing by yourself, but if you were to go to play with an orchestra or other people, it will become really obvious fairly shortly that your instrument is quite out of tune. So I repeat that process, what I just did, with the D string. So I hear that that's flat. Da. So I'm a little high. I'm going to loosen the fine tuner. Overshot a little bit. Okay, we'll call it close enough for the first pass. And that's G. Da. So that one was a little high, so I loosened the peg at first. Okay, so it's still out of tune, like I said it would be. That typically happens when instruments are really out of tune or you just change the strings. So I'm just going to go through and do another pass, starting with the A string. closer. All right, and then I'm going to give it like one last final adjustment with the A. All right, so close enough for playing for right now. And normally what I would do after this is I would go through and play with the bow, because you can get a better sense of tuning with the bow by playing more than one string and listening for that open sound. When strings are in tune, you won't hear any waves or wah 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 when you're playing different strings. Did you hear that adjustment? And there you go. The instrument is now in tune. Another way you can check is when this violin has tape on it. Mine doesn't, but I'm sure that your students will have tape on them. If you have one piece of tape here, another piece of tape here, and then a third piece of tape. If you put your finger on the third piece of tape, which is probably about there, that note is the same as the open string note, but they're an octave apart. And you could also check to make sure that those octaves are da, da. Oh, sorry. Da, 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 da. My singing isn't working out with it right now, but I assure you that it sounds correct on my instrument. What you might hear if it's wrong is something like this, or and you want it to be, if that makes sense. Well, hopefully this video is helpful to you. Hopefully you sort of understand how to tune a violin or something like that at home for your student. I really appreciate your help and your support in trying to make virtual lessons work, as tuning is rather difficult since I'm not able to just sort of fix it in 2 seconds. So I appreciate you going above and beyond and doing all that you can to help your students succeed in music. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure that they do too. All right, if there's any questions, feel free to email me, or if there was anything confusing in this video, or if I did something weird, just let me know. And I will do my best to explain it to you, whether that be in another video or if I could just type back in an email. All right, good luck, and I look forward to seeing your students succeed in orchestra. Bye.